At its peak, the British Empire was the largest empire the world had ever seen. It spanned every continent, governing a quarter of the world's population. From the chilly shores of Canada to the bustling streets of Hong Kong, the sun never set on the British Empire. But how did a small island nation rise to such extraordinary heights? This is the story of the British Empire, a tale of exploration, conquest and decline. Our journey begins in the 15th century, when Britain was far from the global superpower it would become. England was a minor player on the European stage, its ambitions limited to skirmishes with its neighbours. The vast empires of Spain and Portugal dominated the seas, returning with spices, gold and tales of riches. These stories ignited ambition in English merchants and adventurers. They yearned for wealth and prestige from controlling trade routes. Advances in shipbuilding and navigation set the stage for Britain's dramatic entry onto the world stage. The winds of change began to blow during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, a monarch known for her shrewd intelligence and unwavering ambition. Elizabeth understood that for England to compete with the great powers of Europe, it needed to look beyond its shores to the vast, uncharted territories across the Atlantic. She encouraged exploration, granting royal charters to daring seafarers like Sir Francis Drake and Walter Raleigh. These explorers, driven by a thirst for adventure and the promise of riches, embarked on perilous voyages into the unknown. Drake, a skilled navigator and fearless privateer, circumnavigated the globe, plundering Spanish ships laden with treasure along the way. His daring exploits, while controversial, filled the coffers of the English crown and fueled the public's imagination. Raleigh, a dashing courtier and explorer, spearheaded attempts to establish colonies in North America, a venture that would have profound consequences for the future of both continents. These early voyages marked the beginning of England's transformation from a small island nation to a burgeoning maritime power. They established trade routes, secured access to valuable resources, and laid the groundwork for the vast empire that was to come. While explorers charted new territories and clashed with rival powers in the Americas, a different kind of empire building was taking place in the East. In 1600, Queen Elizabeth I granted a charter to the East India Company, a group of London merchants with a bold ambition to establish trade with the exotic and wealthy lands of the East Indies. What began as a purely commercial venture soon evolved into something far more complex and consequential. The East India Company, with its own army and navy, gradually amassed immense power and influence in India. Taking advantage of the political fragmentation within India, the company skillfully played rival rulers against each other, securing trading concessions and gradually expanding its territorial control. By the 18th century, the East India Company had effectively become the dominant power in India, ruling over a vast population and controlling the lucrative trade in spices, textiles, and other valuable commodities. This period of company rule, while marked by economic prosperity for Britain, was not without its dark side. The East India Company's pursuit of profit often came at the expense of the local population, leading to exploitation, displacement, and the erosion of traditional ways of life. The company's rule in India would have a profound and lasting impact on both nations, shaping their destinies for centuries to come. Underpinning the British Empire's rise to global dominance was its unrivaled naval power. The British Navy, forged in the crucible of countless sea battles, became the envy of the world, its ships patrolling the trade routes, protecting British interests, and projecting power across the globe. From the defeat of the Spanish Armada in the 16th century to the decisive victory over Napoleon at Trafalgar in 1805, the British Navy consistently triumphed over its rivals. This naval supremacy was crucial in securing Britain's overseas possessions, enforcing its trade monopolies, and ultimately in shaping the political landscape of the world. The Royal Navy's ability to control the seas allowed Britain to project its power globally, transporting troops, supplies and colonists to all corners of its burgeoning empire. This dominance at sea, coupled with Britain's growing industrial might, cemented its position as the world's leading power by the 19th century. As the 19th century progressed, European powers, fueled by industrial ambition and driven by rivalries, turned their attention increasingly towards Africa. The vast continent, rich in resources and seemingly ripe for exploitation, became the focus of a scramble for territory, with European nations vying for control of its land, its people, and its resources. In 1884, European leaders convened in Berlin for a conference that would have far-reaching consequences for Africa. The Berlin Conference, ostensibly aimed at regulating European colonization and trade in Africa, ultimately formalized the carving up of the continent among the European powers. Britain, along with France, Germany, Belgium and Portugal, acquired vast swathes of territory, often with little regard for existing ethnic or cultural boundaries. This period marked the height of European colonialism in Africa, a period characterized by exploitation, forced labor and the imposition of European values and systems of governance on African societies. Section 6. The Impacts of Empire, a Mixed Legacy. The British Empire's impact on the world was profound and multifaceted, leaving an indelible mark on the societies it ruled and shaping the global landscape for centuries to come. On the one hand, British rule brought with it advances in infrastructure, education and administration. Railways were built, universities established and legal systems implemented, often modelled on British institutions. British common law, parliamentary democracy and the English language itself spread throughout the empire, influencing the development of legal systems, political institutions, and language in many parts of the world. However, this legacy is intertwined with the undeniable harm inflicted by colonialism. The exploitation of resources, the suppression of local cultures, and the often brutal treatment of indigenous populations cast a long shadow over the empire's history. The forced displacement of people, the introduction of cash crops that disrupted traditional agricultural practices, and the imposition of European values and beliefs had a profound and often damaging impact on the social, economic and cultural fabric of colonized societies. Section 7. The sun sets the decline and fall of the British Empire. The 20th century witnessed the gradual decline and eventual dismantling of the British Empire. The two world wars, while ultimately resulting in Allied victories, left Britain severely weakened, both economically and politically. The rise of nationalism and independence movements within its colonies, coupled with growing international pressure to dismantle empires built on colonialism, made maintaining control increasingly untenable. India, the jewel in the crown of the British Empire, achieved independence in 1947, marking a pivotal moment in the empire's decline. Over the following decades, one by one, British colonies gained their independence, each nation charting its own course in the post-colonial world. By the end of the 20th century, the British Empire, once a global superpower, had largely ceased to exist. Its vast territories transformed into independent nations. Section 8. Echoes of Empire, a lasting global legacy. Despite its demise, the British Empire's legacy continues to shape the world today. The English language, spread far and wide during the Empire's heyday, remains a global lingua franca, facilitating communication and cultural exchange across borders. British legal systems and principles of common law form the basis of legal frameworks in many countries, influencing the administration of justice and the protection of individual rights. Sporting traditions, from cricket to football, introduced during the colonial era, continue to be passionately followed in former colonies, often serving as a source of national pride and identity. The Commonwealth of Nations, a voluntary association of 54 independent and sovereign states, most of which were former British colonies, stands as a testament to the enduring ties forged during the Empire. The Commonwealth promotes cooperation, development and shared values among its members, fostering dialogue and understanding between nations with shared histories but diverse present-day realities. Section 9. Conclusion. Understanding the complexities of British colonization. The history of the British Empire is a complex and often contradictory tale, one that defies easy categorization or simplistic judgments. It is a story of exploration and discovery, of innovation and progress, but also of exploitation, oppression, and the enduring legacies of colonialism. Understanding this history, with all its nuances and contradictions, is essential for comprehending the world we live in today. It allows us to appreciate the interconnectedness of nations, the lasting impacts of historical events, and the ongoing challenges faced by societies grappling with the legacies of colonialism in the 21st century. By studying the past, we can gain a deeper understanding of the present and hopefully chart a more just and equitable course for the future.